Hello, welcome to the interview here on France 24. Well, has the battle for Damascus begun in earnest? Clashes between troops, Syrian troops loyal to President Bashar al-Assad and rebel insurgents in the Syrian capital are being described by activists as the heaviest fighting in months. Now, it all comes a week after a top opposition political leader offered to sit down and engage in talks with Bashar Assad's government. But there's no response as of yet from Damascus or anyone in Assad's government. And for some, any hopes of a peace initiative are fading. Now, what's happening now exactly on the ground? What comes next? My guest today is Monzer Makhous. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You are your title's ambassador to France. I'm going to call you representative in France, since it's not a country, of the Syrian National Coalition. That is, I'll describe it as the largest umbrella opposition anti-Assad group right now in existence. I want to start with this peace initiative. It's been 7 days now since the president of your group, Muaz al-Khatib, said, we're willing to engage in talks with the government of Bashar Assad. He now seems to be running out of patience a little. He set a deadline for Sunday. You say you're running out of hope yourself. You don't think there's going to be any response from Damascus favorable to this offer.
Yes, I confirm that there is no hope that the Syrian regime will be serious to make any try or to attempt to find some kind of political solution. It's very simple to understand because the Syrian regime is so involved in terror and in destruction, not only since 2 years, but he began to do it since the 18th, especially at 1982, when he made the massacre of Hama and other towns in Syria.
That was his father. That was Bashar Assad's father.
It is the same regime and the same people who are governing with, even today, with Mr. Bashar al-Assad. Not only this, but let us say the extension of the corruption in Syria since many decades is so big that the actual, let us say, leaders of Syrian regime could never go back because it should be some kind of self-killing, you know.
But, sir, let me ask you this. When Mr. Khatib made this offer, a lot of people within your own coalition were surprised a little bit. There seemed to be a lot of discord, disagreement. They had doubts. They don't want to negotiate with Assad's government under any conditions.
No, the reality, you know, really there's some basic for the Syrian opposition and the principle which nobody could overcome. That there could be any discussions with the Syrian regime only on the conditions that such kind of discussion could take place with some representative of the Syrian regime who are not involved in the killing of Syrian people.
But are there any such people? Right now in Bashar Assad's government, are there people who would be acceptable to all of the members of your coalition group to speak with?
There are some people, Mr. Muaz Khatib named, in particular Mr. Farouk Shara, the vice president. There are other probably people who could participate who are not really so heavily involved in the terror. There is a solution, but the problem is not there. The problem is the Syrian regime will never delegate any people to discuss let us say, the means how he should leave the power. That's the problem.
Okay. We have a stalemate then for now in this peace offer. Let's go to the fighting on the ground. It has been government bombardment, rebels also clashing. It has been fierce fighting by all accounts, very fierce. Who is commanding that fighting? Who is calling the military shots, as we say, on the ground there? Is the coalition, is your president picking up the phone and calling the commanders? Who's leading this right now?
They are themselves decided to do it. And it is not the first time. It is.
Who's they? You say they themselves.
The leaders of the Syrian Free Army.
Okay.
Who has taken this decision to do it.
Are they under your control, though? Is the Syrian Free Army...
There's some kind of coordination, yes, sure. There's a coordination. But let us say military decisions are taken by the leadership of the Syrian Free Army. And it is just not the first. I would like to underline this fact. Such like attempt was taking place before the Marrakesh meeting of the Friends of the Syrian People.
The Friends of the Syrian People, right, yes. In Morocco.
They were also all around Damascus. And the Syrian regime was making a very big troops around Damascus to prevent them to go inside Damascus. Today they are making the same because, you know, basically the opposition and in particular the Syrian Free Army has no hope that we could arrive for some kind of political solution.
We understand that, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but the problem is there's also been a military stalemate. Both sides have been unable to push the other side back. How much money do the rebels have? Where is your money coming from right now? And where are your weapons coming from?
Well, you know, the main part of the weapons are coming from inside Syria because the rebels are attacking some, let us say, weapon deposits, and they are taking from the Syrian army the main part of their weapons.
The main part. What about the rest of the weapons?
There are some weapons which are coming through the border. Yes, it's sure.
From countries such as?
Well, some country who would try to help Syrian people. Well, but it's not so big as it is.
But, sir, it is a big deal because this is a problem from the Western perspective. The U.S., Europe is very concerned that your coalition does not have control over where the weapons are going.
It is not true. It is not true.
You do have control.
We have some kind of control. The problem is that the Syrian revolution was absolutely peaceful. Within 7 months, there was no one side shooting. And after that, at that time, some soldiers and officers began to defect the army to defend their people. That's the question. And now...
it's a civil war. It's a civil war now.
Yeah, well, you can call it as you like. The problem is that after 2 years, the Syrian community are not doing anything to protect, at least to protect Syrian people. That's why we are trying now, the Syrian Free Army, to protect its own people.
But let me ask you, this is my question. I still am unclear. The United States and Europe have been giving non-lethal aid, not weapons, to your coalition. So the part you don't get from inside Syria, you have to get from other powers. Some people say that those weapons are ending up in the hands of people you do not control, jihadists, extremists. Or are they in your group?
Those groups has appeared very recently because of the situation with no, let us say, with no solution on the horizon. That's why, and they will increase.
What can you do, though? But you can't control them. How do you take the al-Nusra Front? This is a group, you know them very well. They're very well organized. They're well armed. They've been very effective. But the U.S. says they're a terrorist group.
You know, there's a very big exaggeration of their, let us say, effect inside Syria. They are there, that's sure, but they are not so powerful as it is, let us say, spoken about. The problem is we are always the opposition. We are agreed to construct a civil democratic society. And basically, as to my information, they are accepted. Probably they have some other consideration. But they will not control the situation in Syria. It's very clear. And
you're sure of that? If the government of Bashar al-Assad falls tomorrow, these people will not have any place in the new Syrian government.
They could be a part of the Syrian people. They are not coming from outside, as the Syrian regime is telling. 90% of them, they are pure Syrian. There are some elements who are coming from abroad, yes.
And those 10%, you do not control those other 10%. You say 90% are Syrians, but the extremists and the jihadists, they're not under...
It is not a problem of control. The problem is not like this. They are making a very hard attack on the Syrian regime. And in this connection, why not? Because other countries are not helping Syrian people. Let us say Western countries should decide while they protect the Syrian people or let him protect himself. In this connection, we will not tell anybody to go out and not to help it. They could do it, and in this case, there should not any need for other people to protect the Syrian people. You know,
you need essentially. Then you're saying that unless the U.S. and other powers provide you with the ability to fight, you have to rely on these groups.
We will tell nothing. We will not throw them out. They can participate in the battle against the regime, but we don't have, we are not afraid that we'll control the situation. They will not control it. Mainly it be controlled by the civil, like, let us say, opposition, democratic opposition.
Finally, do you condemn, I'm sure you're obviously aware, as we are, there have been videos of human rights abuses, allegations of human rights abuses on the ground by certain armed groups in Syria. You know about them, conscripting child soldiers, killing prisoners. Do you condemn those abuses? They're documented.
We are against any kind of this action, basically, you know. But we are in general war. It is a whole war which involving all the country. And in this condition, you are not able to control everything. There could be many, let us say, things with which we don't agree, but they could happen. And we have to look for the essential in this equation. The essential is that is a people who are looking for his freedom, and there is a regime who is killing his own people. This is the framework. And inside this framework, we have to deal with the problem.
Monzer Makhous, we could speak all day about this. It's a very, very complicated topic, but I do thank you for sharing your views today, the latest on what is, by all accounts, a very intense fight right now, especially around the capital, Damascus. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to all of you for watching the interview here on France 24.